Hello and what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and this video is going to be all about low priority. How do you avoid getting a low prio, what to do when you actually get it, and we can start from how do you avoid getting low prio. First of all, of course, you don't want to abandon games. This is one way you can get into low priority pool, is abandoning games. I'm not so sure the exact number because I don't abandon much, but I know you're okay abandoning once in a while. But if you abandon too many times in a row, that's when you actually get punished with low prio. So don't be afraid to abandon if you haven't abandoned in a long time, if you really need to go somewhere or whatever, you're done with this game. A lot of pros do it. It actually saves you a lot of time, and I might make a video about that in future called tactical abandons to not tilt yourself, and I would say your team will actually thank you for that. It's not ruining the game at a point where the game is going to be lost anyway because there's either someone like that's feeding down a lane or there's just some toxicity going in the game where you can just avoid that situation by abandoning. So that's one way you can get low prio. The other way, and the way that I got into low prio, was from excessive reports. Most of it was because of my chat spam, my all chat spam, and I think a lot of it had to do with my all chat spam. But the thing is, you can't get put into low prio just from being reported by enemy teams, because if you notice, when you try to report the enemy team at the end of the game, it will only allow you to report them for communication abuse, and you can never receive low prio from communication abuse reports. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure the worst that can happen to you if you get just reported for communication abuse is you get muted. But the thing is, I was muted a couple days ago for that, and then I received low priority afterwards. So it might be the case where if you get muted already, then you get unmuted, and then you're reported even more for communication abuse. At that point, you might have received low prio, and that's probably what happened to me, potentially. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't think Valve is very clear about how the system works, and that's one of the reasons I am deciding to make this video. And in the background, of course, you get to see wonderful footage from my low priority game here. This game actually ended up being a little bit try-hard because there was some dual stacks on either side. It was me and CK, of course, as we both had the luxury of having those two heroes in our pool from a single draft. But enough out of this game. Back to what I was talking about before, is for the most part, what you will get low prio for is if you get reported for intentional feeding or ability abuse. But don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that you can get reported for ability abuse and Valve will like check the logs or something. Same thing with intentional feeding. If you don't have like an overall large number of deaths in that game, I don't think they'll actually send you into low prio for those type of reports, because they'll just assume it as either the enemy team was like angry or I guess not the enemy team, but your team was just like somehow angry, or it might be a scenario where you are or you're with a party and you're not playing solo rank, but you're playing like unranked or something like that, and you have like a party on your team, and they just reported you. So I do think that Valve does a check, and I read somewhere that that was the case, but don't quote me on that. Again, a lot of this stuff is not for certain. Valve is never clear about how they handle the system, and this is why, of course, again, I'm making this video. So if you get reported for intentional feeding or ability abuse, don't worry if you're not actually doing it. But let's say you're playing a hero, like for example today I was playing Spirit Breaker, and that hero just ends up having a lot of deaths. I was never intentionally feeding, but you know, you kind of charge in, and that's how the hero plays. He ends up having a lot of deaths if you're trying to play the hero properly for the most part, in especially hard games. That's the hero where people jokingly say you can have like 10 deaths, 10 kills, 30 assists or something like that and win the game, right? But anyway, that's probably the case why I got low prio. It wasn't the first case where I was muted, unmuted, and then got reported again for communication abuse. The second case where I was playing Spirit Breaker got reported for intentional feeding, and it so happened that they checked, and since I had a lot of death on the Spirit Breaker, I received low prio for that. So that's how you get low prio, and if you want to avoid low prio, just make sure you don't intentionally feed. You know, if you, for some reason you feel like you're gonna get reported a lot, just actually don't die, and it'll help you win your games as well. I mean, depending on the hero. If you're a carry hero, for sure, just don't die. Go like farm, do something. I don't know what, but just don't die. Like, try your hardest not to die. And of course, ability abuse, just don't do that. And I'm pretty sure Valve checks, and like if that doesn't show up in their system, whatever, you won't receive low prio for that. So if for whatever reason you do get low prio, this is what will happen to you, right? You get 4 games, or at least I received 4 games. It used to be 5, and this ramps up, and I'm not so sure what it depends on. It might be since your last low prio. I think that's what it is, because my friend received 5 games of low prio, while I only received 4, and I played a significant amount of games since the last time I got low prio. But anyway. So those 4 games are not just games played like how it used to be. You need to win all those games. That's the thing. You need to win 4 games, or you need to win 5 games. So the games can be infinite. It just goes up until you win 4 or you win 5. And it keeps ramping up, I believe. It might go to 6. I'm not so sure. I've never experimented with that, or have wanted to experiment with that. So anyway, those 5 or 4 games that you need to win will all need to be played on single draft. And if you don't know what single draft is, if you've never been in low prio, the game randomly chooses 3 heroes for you, and you need to pick between the 3. And the same goes for, of course, everyone else in the game. And one small tip that you can do if you ever do get low prio, you can suggest all your heroes. For example, like you have Chen, Nature's Prophet, and Morphling. You can suggest all those heroes so your teammates know what heroes you have, and you can like tell them to do that as well. And by suggest, you just alt and left click, and you'll suggest the hero. It'll highlight up like pink, and your team will have an idea of the overall hero pool. And another thing, when you're picking in low prio, make sure you wait until last second, or even a little bit after the last second to pick, because again, it's not like ranked pick where you go back and forth. Everyone picks at once pretty much, or everyone can pick at once, but when you pick, your hero shows up on the top bar and your enemy team can counter pick. So wait as late as possible to pick, so you make sure you don't get counter picked by an enemy team. And trying to win your 4 games or 5 games, whatever it may be, is pretty difficult, right? Again, you're playing with the most cancerous players potentially in the game right now, or in your server, wherever your server you do queue. But one thing to note as well is low prio does take into your account your hidden MMR. So in this game, I did get matched with like 6Ks and things like that. You notice this guy. So it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not just random matchmaking, and they will try to match it to a certain extent, because it's not that easy, right? This is low prio, and not that many people are in the pool. That's why it's called low priority. So it'll do its best to match you with similarly skilled players, but of course there will always be a skill discrepancy. It's not insane that 6K will end up with like a 3K. It's a lot bigger than regular matchmaking, so keep that in mind. And again, with low prio, you can also play with parties. So the best way actually to get out of low prio is to just get 4 friends and play some single draft together. It isn't that bad. A lot of times you are playing against some like cancer players, so it will be pretty easy as long as you happen to get pretty good picks. In single draft, again, it is pick dependent as well, because you kind of just have to play what the game gives you, and you end up with crappy heroes. You're going to end up with crappy heroes. You end up with heroes you can't play. You end up with heroes you can't play. but that is the best way to get out of low prio, the legitimate way. There are other unlegit ways that you can get out of low prio relatively quickly. I'm not going to mention any of them in the video, but if you guys want to see that, make sure you leave a comment down below, hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll show you how to get out of low prio the unlegit way. And I've done it many times, and I'm not going to describe the methods to you, but there's a way that you can get out of low prio real fast, and it might cost some money. You can do it also for free, but I won't mention any of that in this video. This is just for your regular average Joe trying to get out of low prio the normal way. So of course the best way is to play with friends, and you can play with 2 friends, 3 friends, 4 friends, whatever, 1 friend, as I did here. And the more friends you have, the most likely you're gonna have a better chance of winning. So after that, you'll win 4 games, 5 games, or whatever it is, and you should be good. However, Valve recently made this change where they ban you from queuing for ranked or any type of matchmaking other than single draft for whatever reason. I guess they like had that ticker in there, and they're like, you can still play single draft, like non-low prio single draft. I mean, like, this is after you already get a low prio, but you can't queue ranked. It physically won't allow you to queue ranked, as if like you recently abandoned or didn't ready up for your game or dodged, right? It's just how the video I made for that. And it used to be 24 hours, I'm pretty sure, because last time I received low prio, I remember it being 24 hours. But it seemed like this time around I only received a 3-hour ban, and it might also vary depending on what you got low prio for and when the last time you abandoned was, I'm pretty sure. So you're not gonna be able to see that, but I'll show you how you can see it real quick, because with the play Dota button here, it's actually bugged and you can't see the amount of hours that you're actually banned from queuing for. But if you hit international rank, it will show up. It won't make sense right now because I don't have it, but just make sure that you're wondering, oh, why can't I queue? And like when you go to ranked match, it will just say like you can't queue for something amount of minutes, and it won't actually say how long. If you go to international ranked, it will show it. And it doesn't make sense right now, but just remember international ranked, and you can see how long you're actually banned from queuing for. And it can range up to 3 hours, 24 hours, and sometimes even more. And that's something that you have to deal with. You just won't be able to play Dota, just play a custom game, get a Smurf or something like that, or play single draft, which isn't a really fun game mode in my opinion. It's just random and restricting, I would say. And I think that's almost all you need to know about low priority as for the basics. But advanced tactics to get out of low prio in terms of picks, I think your best bet is to just play heroes you're familiar with and heroes that can solo carry the game. I mean, it's relatively hard for me as a support player, but in low prio I do take up core positions a lot of times, even as a support player, because I do end up being one of the higher MMR players. But in this game I was playing with a friend, so of course I will be playing IOCK, is why not take that combination in low prio. So in terms of hero picks, I do recommend a hero that can carry the game pretty hard. Heroes like I can't think of an example right now, but if you look at the Shadow Fiend right now, he's solo carrying pretty hard. Like, me and my friend are barely doing anything. He's going pretty ham here. So most mid heroes would be a good choice. Carries, not so much though, because a lot of times you won't be receiving supports, of course, because it is low prio and people tend to just pick like junglers if they can or something like that. So I actually recommend maybe playing an offlaner over a carry, so like something like Legion Commander that can go offlane and then carry from the offlane would be more recommended than, say, an AM in this game, because like even if this AM was like a super good player or something like that, there's not much you can do if he's just getting like aggro dual lane and then his lanes are just getting run down by a super farm Shadow Fiend that fed off the mid, right? So ideally you actually want to avoid the safe lane. It tends to be pretty toxic and low prio. A lot of times you might even just get a rough dual lane. So your best bet is probably mid or the off lane actually. Again, maybe you can get away with just jungling, but it is not that recommended, because usually if you do jungle, especially on a hero that like doesn't jungle super fast and then have a huge impact, you're just gonna get like flamed by your team. They're gonna get tilted and they might just end up throwing. Oh, and one last thing I forgot to mention, if someone like leaves before the game actually starts, or if the whole enemy team leaves, the game actually won't count, and even if you do win, you won't get out of low prio. And this is something that a lot of pro players had a problem with, where as soon as like the enemy team would start losing, everyone would just leave and then the game wouldn't count anymore. It happened to me when I was playing low prio with Eternal Envy. It's always annoying. I'm not so sure if Valve fixed it, but it's something that you have to be careful of. So if the enemy team leaves, maybe you should leave too, because the game's not going to count anyway. There's really no point in playing it out. And as for players who don't play mid or offlane heroes that can carry the game, I mean, rough luck to you. You're going to have a really hard time getting out of low prio. You're going to play a lot of games, and that's when I recommend making sure you just get some friends, and they can help you out. And if you don't have any friends, leave the like down below, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment saying your problem, and I'll give you the insider information how to get out of low prio without friends, without being a good mid player, without being an offlane player. And it's quick and easy, but it might cost you a little bit money. Either that, or you need to find a certain group of people that can do it with you. But that's going to be it for this video. This is everything you need to know about low prio. I'll see you guys in the next one, and make sure once again, leave a like down below if this video has helped you out. Subscribe if you like this type of content and you want to see more of it, and I'll see you all in the next one.